Hi, everyone. This is Maverine, and welcome again to Prophetic News Hour 1. Today is April 21st, 2025, and today I'm going to address what's happening on the global stage with Israel as the center and therefore affecting the entire world. It seems that this topic is one that is going to recur on this channel. And that is because what we are seeing now occurring in and around and toward Israel is truly an illustration of what is occurring around the world. Some more obvious and open, if you will, than others. But altogether, those things are occurring in every nation. And by those things, I mean the attempt to overwhelm a sovereign nation whose God is other than the God known as Allah, and do so in a way that is existentially, and that word is used so loosely, but it poses a threat to the very existence of an entire people group. Now, this is not new. We know that throughout history, the particular people group known as the Jewish diaspora, depending upon your pronunciation in your home, that attack to eradicate Jews from the earth is not a new one. It's one of the oldest, if not the oldest, foundation for wars between nations and among men and women. And that matters because the foundation for that hatred and the desire to eradicate an entire people group speaks to a level of inhumanity, a level of wickedness that is almost unimaginable to most people. It is so unimaginable to most people that some choose to not really know what's going on. They'd rather not know what's going on because it's not yet touched their doorstep. Or for those who have read the news, do look at the news, know some of history, they have chosen to disconnect. In trauma and psychology, that's actually called the dissociative disorder, where you disconnect from what is real, what is happening around or even to you, because that's the only way you can cope. And for others, unfortunately, it seems that they have fallen into that camp of thinking that maybe this desire to eradicate an entire people group is somehow a noble campaign, somehow necessary. As it was said by Hitler for several decades before he rose to power, that it will somehow make the world a better place if one particular people group, namely Jews, are removed from the earth. Today we hear that said in slogan, the slogan, I think the slogan is from the river to the sea. I'll have to look that up because I've tried very hard not to take that in and remember it. But essentially, the slogan, the chant, speaks about the geographic location of the nation state and therefore a good number of people who identify as Jews, Israel. And it talks about eradicating them from the earth. There's another slogan that the same religious believers say, and say openly, whereby they say, first, the Saturday people, meaning the Jewish people, who, if they are Orthodox or religious or conservative, still more often than not observe their Shabbat, their rest day, their worship day on Saturday. Then the Sunday people, meaning those of us who identify as Christian, or even some who identify as Messianic, because the idea is that Christians, as they know it, observe our Sabbath day on Sunday. And so that gives you an idea for how this plan and intent is not limited to one people group. It's not limited to one nation state. It's not limited to one land mass. It is targeting everyone who, by their own book of direction and instruction, it's targeting everyone who does not bow and acknowledge their God, who they call Allah, and their prophet, whose name I will not mention because I will not give power other than the name that's above every other. And so today I am speaking to, again, the nation state of Israel's condition and where they are. Because Israel is again in a place where there are many nations coming together to have talks and to forge agreements that on paper, and what is being said, the unknowing and unwise would think precedes peace, true peace. And so if we think about, for instance, the discussions between the United States representative and the representative of Iran that have just occurred. And now this idea whereby the representative of Iran is saying conversations about the outline of an agreement are beginning. You see how that is a road to nowhere? And it is a lot of circular talk that is only buying time for, again, a nation and a group of people who have not shown themselves willing to truly live in peace with all men, to live in peace with their neighbor. The very definition of peace for this group of individuals, specifically Islam, the very definition of peace to them is counter. It's complete opposite from the peace that most of the world, particularly the Western world, have come to expect and take for granted. Peace for them is subjugating the infidel, the dog, until the infidel and the dog are under their foot and subject to them in every way, as we have seen them manifest with the women and the children and the men that they took hostage or tortured or raped, or in the case of the Bibas family, murdered. That is peace for them. That is their definition. And so today on the Prophetic News Channel, I am saying that Israel, the nation state of Israel, and every person who is and identify as a Jew around the world is in a moment of great decision, action-based decision. Will you continue to seek bilateral, or even quadrilateral, trilateral agreement among nations for how you address what has been and will continue to be a threat against your very existence? Will you Reformed Judaism, Conservative Judaism, some Orthodox Judaism, certainly Progressive Judaism, will you, even now as you have an opportunity to select the representatives of your parliament through the World Jewish Congress, will you select those who dogmatically and naively believe that groups with the likes of those who would murder and rape children, who would behead and put children in ovens, will ever truly accept you and want peace? Will you ignore all of history and think that you know better, and that somehow by your bowing to them, by your not quote unquote agitating them, it will make things better? It smacks of what many Jews said when they were being warned to get out of Germany, to get out of Europe, the places where Hitler and Nazism had started to encroach before their opportunity to escape was closed. Many of them, through testimony, through the testimony of survivors, through the diaries, many of them refused to leave, not believing that another human could be so evil, not believing that at best that they deal with the wickedness for wickedness that it is, unto that wickedness destruction. And therefore, many more were lost in the Shoah, the Holocaust, than was necessary. Israel, Jewish diaspora around the world, you are in a similar, if not more intense position now because of the advent of technology and mass weaponry, the open borders, the fact that you may not any longer walk safely and grab a cab or a taxi or a ride share safely in cities like Paris, in cities like London, in cities like the District of Columbia in Washington, or in cities like Michigan, Chicago, Manhattan. You may no longer walk safely to and fro. Around Australia, throughout Africa, the continent. These talks, whereby Israel is hoping and awaiting bilateral agreement, primarily from the United States with them, before they address the threats against them in a way that is absolute, are again threats to all of our safety, no matter how you identify. For some of us, it's more of a threat because of how we identify. And that includes those of us who are considered conservative, Christian, or right, and those of you who identify as progressive, far left, liberal, queer. The threat, the wickedness is the same. The enemy that was once smiling and accepting because they operated with the belief that the enemy of their enemy is their friend has now exposed itself. Will we recognize their exposition? Will we respond? Will we, as has been said before, believe a being, an entity, an ideology is what it says it is when it shows you what it is? Or will you continue to seek to negotiate and to find equal footing, to find areas of agreement and peace for a foundation that is rooted on wickedness and evil and hatred, even rooted on lying, whereby lying is accepted and sufficient and even lauded if it advances the cause of Islam. My hope is that those of you who have opportunity will voice your concern. My hope is that every Jew in the United States and around the world will cast a vote in the World Jewish Congress for a parliament membership that does not bow to jihad and anti-Semitism and self-hatred, even self-annihilation. My hope is that the recognition that you and your family are beautifully made and created and have a place in this earth at this time, as you always have, will manifest in you, so that you do not continue to partner with, ignore, even prop up and defend ones who hate you and desire to annihilate you and your entire family. Their intent is not the intent for freedom of expression and freedom of speech as is defined in the United States Constitution. Is it? Their law, Sharia, is contrary to everything that we have known to be of and through the Bill of Rights. Even though the Bill of Rights is not perfect, it's certainly a lot better than Sharia. So today on Prophetic News Hour, I am reporting out based upon what we see happening today, what has happened in the past when ones have sought peace with those who refuse peace, and even the more don't define peace as it is truly. And I am calling out the decision that we all have to make about where we stand and what we will stand for. That's the end of the report for today. I look forward to sharing with you tomorrow. It turns out that I need 100 followers, I think, before links on this channel will link to the stories. So as I'm putting the links to the stories in the description, you'll have to cut and paste and put them into your own browser so that you may open those links. I'll put links in this description. I hope that you all will go further, because I'm really encapsulating what is now 35 years of knowledge and understanding that I've come to, and I'm trying to make it accessible to all. But we must not ignore what has happened, because history only repeats itself when an uninformed, disengaged, apathetic, or otherwise agreeable populace allows history to repeat itself. God bless you, and I look forward to the next installment.